After you watch this video, you stop and think to yourself, wow, I didn't know the problem was that big, or wow, I didn't know it was that serious. That means that you are in a position of privilege. How are you going to yield that privilege? Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Law and Lifestyle with Chelsea, a channel that encourages you to break through the glass ceiling and unleash your fullest potential by providing transparent advice and insights into everything law, lifestyle, and faith. But as you can see from today's title, I'm going to be talking about End Sars. As a law student, as a first-generation Ghanaian American, as a human rights advocate, and quite frankly, as a human, what has been going on in Nigeria, what has been going on in Congo, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, what has been going around even in the United States has prompted me to not be a hypocrite and to speak about this matter and to educate my following about what is really going on and what you can do to help. It's one thing to sit behind a screen and criticize leaders of nations, criticize celebrities for not speaking up. And it's another thing to be so connected to a matter as a Ghanaian, as an African, as a human, and still not speak on it. So I wanted to take the bold step to come here and to talk to you guys today exactly about what is going on and to encourage you all to be a part of something greater than yourselves, to be a part of change that can impact your own children. This is not just an Africa matter. This is a matter of humanity. If you are alive, this should matter to you. And if it doesn't, check your privilege. For those of you who might not know what SARS is or SARS stands for Special Armed Robbery Squad. The Nigerian government executed an order in which gave a subdivision of the police power in 1992 to address issues such as trafficking, robbery, and other crimes alike. But because SARS was originally supposed to be more a covert operation, people weren't necessarily supposed to see them as police officers in uniforms. A lot of them originally didn't actually wear uniforms, so they were kind of operating in disguise, if you will. But this disguise, coupled with newfound power and inadequate training, caused detriment to many, many lives. They've been highly critiqued for their violence, for their rapings, for their killings, and they're not facing proper adjudication. They're not facing any charges for their wrongdoing, which has left them in a position in which they're enabled to continue to do wrong at the expense of lives. Despite the recent attraction that SARS has gotten in the media, SARS has actually been notified to the government due to their violent crimes. Amnesty International in 2018 did a report on SARS, critiquing them for their human rights violations. And knowingly to the government, they really didn't do anything about it. In August of 2018, the government promised to set up a judicial committee that would actually review the allegations against the SARS officers in order to hold them more accountable. But as with many African government initiatives, they don't follow through. And this failure to follow through, unfortunately, is at the expense of many people's lives. So as a result, peaceful protesters can go to a bridge, waving flags, singing with pride for their country, and be murdered in plain sight. Many of you might be thinking, well, If the government promised to do something about it, if Amnesty International was talking about it and have been committing reports and projects about SARS, why is this issue still ongoing? I don't claim to be all-knowing, but Africa has a corruption problem. And I'm a law student, so I like to define so that we're all on the same page and we know what we're talking about here. For the purposes of our discussion today and our education, corruption will be defined as a form of dishonesty or criminal offense that is carried out by a trusted organization or a government official to elicit a subordinate or someone inferior for their own benefit. Corruption is widespread in Africa, but I also want to note that it's not just an Africa issue. We'll touch base on that a little later. A lot of people might ask, where does corruption stem from? When the Europeans came, the British came to Nigeria and Ghana and many other countries, but when they came, they dismantled the working system of governance, where the chiefs were in power, they had their tribes, they were in charge, and created a centralized government which invested all the power of the people into them. Literally, the British took away the power from the people and created this centralized government in which they had more power than, let's say, the chiefs. And because of this system that was implemented in which only the elite were supposed to directly benefit or call the shots, it just perpetuated this ongoing lack of accountability, and it caused impunity for the elite. Because unlike in America, where we have kind of a working system of checks and balances, that really isn't the case in many African countries. The governance system that was built was intentionally created that way to vest the power in the societal elite. So that is a problem that has led to many other problems and relates to the problem at hand. You have all the power vested into one central government with no way to essentially check their power. When a grievance is stated against the government, there's not really a formal system that's followed that people trust that correlates to sufficient action. And because of that, so many government officials are able to get away with money laundering, extortion, human rights atrocities. For more information on the direct link between corruption and human rights, I will link you guys some scholarly articles to read below. But corruption isn't just at a higher government level. There's also something called petty corruption. Petty corruption is essentially corruption that happens more at a public level. And that's what you see with SARS. You have public officials or a subdivision of police officers, Sars, who are using their power to essentially elicit benefit for their own gain from people. You have police officers taking bribes from people who they randomly stop just to collect more money. You have police officers kidnapping, raping, and killing people because they're using their power in order to inflict that superiority on other people. And like I said, this is just not an Africa problem. Think about what happens here in the United States. The police officers racially profiling people, killing people unjustifiably, stopping people, harassing them, all for what? They're using their power to the disadvantage of others. When I was in Ghana last year, I attended a funeral and we were traveling back from Accra to Takrady, and a police officer saw that we had funeral announcements on the van that we were driving. So he stopped us. It's not like we were doing anything against the law. He just stopped us. He poked his head in the car, looked at the back where I was sitting because there were boxes near me, and he said, "I see that you guys have come from a funeral. That means that you must have shaitan in your car." Those of you who don't know what shaitan is, it's like pepper, hot sauce, if you will. And he said that in order for him to let us go, we should give him the shaitan that we have in the back. Mind you, we didn't have any shaitan. not to downplay the crimes that these officers commit, but I'm just trying to explain to you guys what petty corruption can look like. It looks like officers acting contrary to how they're supposed to act to the benefit of their own. It looks like officers stopping you not because you did anything wrong, but because they know that in order for you to go about their day, you'll give them money. This happens because some government officials feel as though, or have been unable to understand that despite their wrongdoing, they won't face anything under the law. And for the Black Lives Matters people who have been silent on this issue, I encourage you to take a step back and do research. When police brutality made headlines in the United States, Ghana was marching with you. Nigeria was marching with you. The world was marching with you. Black lives don't only matter in the United States. Black lives matter globally. We're the generation where social media is making issues that have been long-standing come to light. Sars is nothing new. Corruption is nothing new. Through the power of social media, the Sars movement was able to come to the attention of millions across the globe, all because of one video. So I briefly want to talk about how there has been heavy criticism on people who are calling for celebrities to speak up to elicit change. Think about how Breonna Taylor wouldn't have gotten the attraction that she got had it not been for you and I marching in the streets, you and I retweeting, had it not been for the celebrities bringing this to the attention of the public. Social media has the power to draw awareness to issues that might not have gotten attention had it not been for key celebrities. So it is not enough to be hyped when a celebrity is playing Davido in their bathroom or Shatta Wale. It is not enough to be hyped when they collaborate with our own. If you can publicly collaborate, you can also publicly advocate. And that is why it is important to continue to ask these celebrities to use their forum to create awareness. Awareness makes a spotlight on the issues. One of us standing alone might not have that much power in the eyes of a big government. When people with seemingly low power come together, their unity makes for a greater driving force of change. Some might be thinking or asking, how can we help? Do research about the history of Africa, the lasting effects of colonization, the link between corruption and human rights. And then ask yourself, how does this relate to the United States? Don't think too long. Think about police brutality. Think about unequal sentencing. When a rich person commits a crime of a particular race and a poor person commits a crime, who's getting the harshest sentence? Ask yourself why, and then do more research and realize that this is not just an Africa issue, and SARS is not just an Africa issue. Corruption is not something that just happens in Africa. It happens here too. You can donate to some of the links that I listed below. I would recommend giving directly to people who you know might be affected by this issue, giving directly to hospitals who you know will be taking care of patients. I encourage you to pray, meditate, and ask God to heal the land. Ask God to deliver his people. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you leave here educated and drive to help change the situation all over the world, because when we come together and when we are united, we can change for the better. Always remember, you can do anything that you put your mind to, because with God, all things are possible.